Over the last 5 weeks, Americans have been confronted by one horrific tragedy after another. An armed gunman opened fire at an outdoor concert in Las Vegas, killing 58 and injuring hundreds more. In New York City, a man drove a rented truck into a crowd of people, killing 8 people and injuring 12. And this weekend in Sutherland Springs, Texas, a gunman targeted the First Baptist Church, killing 26 people and injuring 20 more. Advertisement. Continue reading below. However, the way the President and Congress have responded in the aftermath of each tragedy has exposed a dangerous dichotomy. Immediately following the New York City attack, President Trump tweeted, "I have just ordered Homeland Security to step up our already extreme vetting program. Being politically correct is fine, but not for this. Have just ordered Homeland Security to step up our already extreme vetting program. Being politically correct is fine, but not for this." Donald J. Trump at Real Donald Trump, November 1, 2017. But following the Las Vegas mass shooting, the president said at WASNT the time to have a conversation about gun violence. And after the mass shooting in Sutherland Springs, Texas, the president said, "This isn't a gun situation," and had the audacity to blame the shooting on mental illness, even though one of the first things he did after he took office was sign a law making it easier for people with severe mental illnesses to buy and own guns. After acts of terrorism that don't involve guns, there are calls to tighten laws. But when it comes to mass shootings like Sutherland Springs, which are most often perpetrated by white men, we're told that strengthening our gun laws just won't work. Instead, we get the tired trope of thoughts and prayers. But if thoughts and prayers alone were enough to prevent gun violence, Americans wouldn't get shot in our places of worship. In fact, Americans are 25 times more likely to be fatally shot than our peers in other developed countries. Advertisement. Continue reading below. There are solutions to stop the senseless gun violence in America. One solution is to pass stronger laws that prevent dangerous people from having easy access to guns. These dangerous people include domestic abusers. In fact, 54% of mass shootings are connected to domestic or family violence. Consider this: the shooter who opened fire at a congressional baseball practice, wounding Rep. Steve Scalise, had allegedly physically attacked his daughter and been arrested for domestic battery. The man who shot and killed 49 people and injured 53 more at a gay nightclub in Orlando had beaten his ex-wife. The Las Vegas mass shooter had a history of verbally abusing his girlfriend. The story in Sutherland Springs is much the same. According to media reports, the shooter was court-martialed in 2012 for assaulting his wife and fracturing his stepson's skull, and was said to have been involved in an ongoing domestic situation with his in-laws. The link between gun violence and domestic violence is undeniable. At the state level, we've made progress to keep guns out of the hands of domestic abusers. Since I founded Moms Demand Action, 25 states and Washington, D.C. have passed legislation to keep guns out of the hands of domestic abusers. In Rhode Island, Moms Demand Action volunteers spent 3 years advocating such legislation, and finally, just last month, that bill was signed into law. It was hard work, and it took us 3 years, with the NRA fighting us every step of the way. The states have led the way on this issue, and it's time now for Congress to do its job. Legislation sponsored by Reps. Debbie Dingell DMI and Dan Donovan RNY, and Sen. Amy Klobuchar DMN, would strengthen protections for victims of domestic abuse, violence and stalking, and keep guns away from domestic abusers and stalkers. This is an immediate step Congress should take to save lives. What Congress cannot do, and what Americans won't accept, is allow NRA lobbyists to exploit this tragedy in order to pass their dangerous priority legislation like concealed carry reciprocity, which would gut state protections for domestic violence victims and allow domestic abusers and stalkers to carry hidden, loaded handguns across the country. We're calling on Congress to, finally, take action this time. Stand up for your communities, and against the gun lobby to help us keep guns out of the hands of domestic abusers. It's one small step we can take to prevent tragedies like Sutherland Springs. Imagine all the tragic headlines that won't need to be written if we take real action towards preventing deaths from gun violence, including common-sense measures to keep guns out of the hands of domestic abusers. It is time for every single American to get off the sidelines and demand our lawmakers reject the dangerous agenda of the NRA, which has far too much influence over our gun laws. Our elected representatives in Congress must commit to holding hearings and passing legislation to stop gun violence. It doesn't have to be this way. Gun violence is preventable if we have the courage to act. Shannon Watts is the founder of Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America and a mother of 5. She lives in Colorado.